Hey guys, it's Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset, and we are live with episode 419. We've got our co-hosts tonight. Corey, how's it going?
I feel incredibly underprepared. I don't have a robot in the background.
I know we're not as cool. I know. Greg, how's it going?
I
Going
also,
really well, guys. Oh, you said Greg. This is going to be awkward.
oh, this is gonna get real confusing. But I'm good. How are you, Craig?
Cannon, how's it going? And our guest of the hour is our friend of the show, which I can't believe it's been so long since we had you on, but Craig Arnzen from Area 419. I know we were doing the IPRF winter shows, but we could not resist having Area 419 on the show that is episode 419. So it just made sense.
It's perfect. It's so perfect, and I appreciate you guys having me, thinking of me. Obviously, because 419 episodes is an enormous accomplishment for you guys. It's a lot. It's effort. It's persistence. It's sticking with it at times that I'm sure you didn't want to. And I know that I don't know what episode we were on 5 years ago when I was here last, but the reality is 5 years is a lot of time in a person's life. Jennifer, I know you've had a lot of things change in your life. Corey, you grandmastered 32 new disciplines in that time.
A little bit.
And right. And Greg, I know it's happened with you too. I know the team here has changed a little bit in the Shooter's Mindset, but the reality is you guys have stuck it out through an enormous number of episodes, and kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you. It is definitely a labor of love. that sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with, honestly, but I do love doing it. It's just I wish I had more time. If we could figure out how to like make a living on this, I would absolutely love it. But then I have to like get up and go to work, which is just no fun.
Right.
One more little piece of business I want to take care of real quick is Corey, what was yesterday?
Oh, right. I got older.
He got older. He made another trip around the sun. So happy
Yeah, I
birthday,
made it another
Corey.
year. Thank you.
I told him he
Appreciate
can't
it.
eat cake in front of me because I'm trying to diet. And he told me he was going to anyway.
I was just egging you on. I'm on a diet too.
All right. All right. So let's jump into Area 419 because I feel like there is a lot for us to see, and it's all the cool things, including everything going on behind you. But start out for anybody that's not familiar with you and let us know kind of a little about yourself, how you got into competitive shooting, how you got into Area 419.
Sure. So I'll start with talking about Area 419 and kind of where I am literally right now. Area 419 is a manufacturer of precision rifle parts and accessories and reloading tools and equipment. We kind of got going, the early days of Area 419. Well, John Addis started the company, owns the company, founder, CEO, the man. Oh, you see the robot moving behind me here. That's Homer, our newest employee. John started as a guy who liked shooting. He liked custom rifles, precision rifles, but as a college student, he was at University of Toledo, getting his mechanical engineering degree. That was expensive. And he was working at Gander Mountain at the time, along with Justin Watson, our VP of operations. I'll come back to Justin. And Gander Mountain shuttered their gunsmithing program. And at that time, John saw an opportunity to buy a little manual mill and a manual lathe for very little and teach himself how to use them. So if you go back on our YouTube channel a way long time ago, you'll find some very early days of John doing manual gunsmithing as a hobby. And that's kind of what Area 419 was from 2011 to 2016 or so. In 2016, John comes up with an idea for a product that has been our kind of standard barrier for all that time, and that's the Hellfire, the way that it attaches to the rifle. He was gunsmithing, he was threading muzzles, he was attaching other muzzle brakes, and it was either a pain to time and custom turn and blend a kind of standard blended your muzzle or seamless muzzle brake, or he was using a jam nut style. You could pick those up from a few different places, and he would get them on, he would time them. Didn't like the way that the concentricity of the brake was affected by the jam nut. So sitting around the shop, he was studying Cat 40 tool holders, the common tool holders that go up into a vertical mill. and thought they're onto something here with the way that they grab and resist twisting and turning under load, and got to work and designed ultimately the Hellfire and the patented Hellfire attachment system with the shallow taper.
I have
During
to tell
2016, go ahead.
I have to tell you that that product was one of the best demonstrations at Precision Rifle Expo and the most genius marketing I've ever seen, because you know, you go to Precision Rifle Expo and you get to shoot a lot of cool stuff, right? And it's very cool. But no, whenever you go to your booth, you don't just shoot it, right? Y'all were like, okay, lay down and shoot this with no break on it. Feel what it feels like. Now I want you, Jen, who, you know, doesn't have the man strength of, you know, everybody else's man hands. I want you to put this break on this gun and shoot it again and feel a difference. And it showed a few things. It showed me how easy it is to put on and off. And it showed me the difference that that break makes between shooting without a break and shooting that one, and the difference of the felt recoil and watching your impact and all of that. So genius.
It was probably October-ish of 2016. The first batch of Hellfires is ready to go, and I get one and I go shoot. It might have been Gap Grind 2016. I had one on the gun. And what I would do when people would say, you know, they knew something about it, had seen it online, they come ask me about it. And in the middle of the match, I would take it off of my rifle, hand it to them, and then have them put it back on my rifle for the same reason, understanding how it times and installs, but also to show the confidence that we had in how the system worked on repeatability. And that was the beginning, really, around that time period of me being part of 419. And I started shooting maybe a year before that. Late 2015, I started shooting for the first time, got really into it. In 2016, I was on the website of some guy I'd never heard of at Area 419 trying to buy a bolt knob, and I couldn't buy it online. So I reached out to ultimately John and said, hey man, having some problems with the website. I think maybe I think I could maybe help you. Or we worked out a deal. I built area419.com, the website at the time. And, you know, the rest is history. That's my involvement there. I worked remotely, kind of as a hobby thing for a while. John ended up leaving his full-time job on January 1 of 2017. He thought it was going to be a year or two process, turned into a couple months. So things went really quickly for him. He hired Justin about a year later. Justin Watson, again, our VP of operations, is an unbelievably talented and detail-oriented and focused operations guy. And he's the one that makes the business run on a day-to-day basis. And he's got an enormous heart. He's HR, he's dad inside the shop. Wonderful guy. Comes on, and I think it's late 2017, early 2018, full time. And at the time, Justin was just changing parts in the machine so that John could spend more time designing and working through things that he needed to. And now, ultimately, Justin's role has changed. But we grew at that point. We expanded the shop there a couple times, added machines, changed the way we did things, added new products, moved into this building in its original form in February of 21, and then almost immediately started building onto it again. So now we've got 46,000 or so square feet under roof. There are, I believe, 15 CNC machining centers behind me, including the automation cell that you'll see get to work every 18 or so minutes behind me. And it allows us we get to do the coolest thing in the world every single day. And the blessings that we have encountered in this business and the people that we've been fortunate enough to run into and connect with, the members of the team here are unbelievable. I've got the easiest job in the entire place because John is outrageously bright and gifted in designing products and knowing how products can be made and understanding how to get across the line with something that's going to be good from product number 1 to product number 10,000. Justin makes the wheels on the bus go round and round. I mean, everything in the shop runs tightly. The place is clean. The staff is unbelievable. And again, he's making the ultimate hiring decision on basically everybody in the building. And all I have to do is make really wonderful products that are sitting on a shelf go to people who want to have them anyway. So I think I've really beat the system here in looking into the right situation with the right people at the right time. And man, it's surreal. It's unbelievable.
Well, don't underestimate yourself though, Craig, because you do a phenomenal job of getting out there. I mean, y'all have great products. You could just sit behind a desk and be like, "Oh yeah, these are great products," but you're out there. I mean, I remember, I think in Wyoming, we walked into the restaurant, we were all eating, and y'all had the reloading press clamped to a table, demonstrating it in the restaurant.
Yeah, so that was one of the matches from Alpha and Morgan, maybe the first one they did out north of Salt Lake, like a pickle Wyoming. And the press wasn't on the market yet. We had just shipped the first one. And Rob Latham, Jeremy Sawney, Jeremy Thompson, a whole crew of people. I'm going to forget 25 people talking about this. But we were definitely in some version of a dive bar or pool hall. $1,200 reloading press, pseudo prototype. And that was fun.
Craig,
Love to hear you background noise.
It sounds like the machining process is taking over your voice for some reason.
Is that any better, or does that make it worse?
That is actually
That's
better.
actually better.
Okay. I've got two mics.
Yeah.
I've got the AirPods going, then I've also got a shotgun mic here, so we can work out what works out.
Yeah, that's why we're making ugly faces at you. It was a great story, but we're really trying to hear.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. So I just want to take a step back. I haven't ever heard, but what does Area 419 mean? Like, where did the 419 come from? I know it's something simple.
It's our area code.
I figured as much. Okay, I just wanted to get that out there.
You're calling into area 419, 419-830. That's our phone number.
Yeah. So you said you built a new shop in 21. You're already expanding on it. It seems like
we opened up 25,000 more feet in this February.
And that puts you at about, you said 60?
Just under 50.
Okay. So every time I see you guys on social media, you're growing. Like, what do you think is the main contributor to that? Is that messaging? Is that just people like the parts? Is it it's a great time to be in the sport right now? Is it just everything? Like you said before, with kind of serendipity of all coming together.
Yeah. If I knew like a super simple way to put my finger on that and answer it, I'd love to know it. But the reality is we've been able to develop a great line of products, a great process for ensuring a super high level of quality and consistency, as well as cultivating a user base of people that we can trust and they can trust us. And the team we have here, you'll probably see at some point Drew walk behind me. Drew manages our mill department. This new automation system behind me is relatively new, and he wanted to make sure that it was running, so you guys can see it behind me throughout the podcast. We've gotten lucky with a lot of things, and every time we get lucky, we do our best to work as hard as we can to get as much done with that luck as possible, and then we look for that next piece of luck or that next idea or that next blessing or the next opportunity for us to do something that is the best thing for the organization, for the customers, for the brand, for the people here. I feel oftentimes like I continue to wake up to a lightning in a bottle situation. And we've been fortunate, from the top down. John has an unbelievable vision, and he's got more confidence and willingness to dive after something that he knows is good and right than anybody I've ever worked with. And the guy's totally fearless in that way. And, certainly there are, Shakespeare talks about in Hamlet, the best thing about a person also being sometimes their downfall. And there are times that the positive attributes of us can get us in a little trouble, I guess. And maybe they will again at other times, but we're going to keep pushing as hard as we can. And we're going to keep going. We're trying to build something that is good for not 5 years, but 100 years. This is a place that I would love for my kids to come work. I'd love for John's kids to come work. People in the shop here have young families, and we love it. And I think at the end of the day, we've got enough of a shared mission that we're going to keep going as hard as we can.
One thing that I don't think a lot of people get that you guys seem to have, and it's hard to fake, is you have a genuine joy when you talk about work. And it almost seems like when you make a product, you want that thing. So you had talked about like a break, like a need for a break. Do you think a lot of the products have just been like, we really want this and we want to make it really well, and that resonates with people?
Like 100% of the products have come about that way. And it's the Zero is a good one to talk about, the reloading press. I had reloaded a mountain of ammo on like a Redding T7. And it reloaded a good amount, not as much as a T7, but a good amount of ammo on a coax. And obviously, they're a rock chucker. Spent a lot of time, all these presses, but each of them did a couple things that we really liked, but none of them did everything that we wanted to. So it was if we were to build the perfect press, bottom up, what do we do? And that's how the Zero was born. And we went through 15 designs that weren't quite right either until we finally got the one and we said, this is right. This is the one. We're ready to go to market with this. And it's obviously been received really well because we build products as users. We stay active in the market. We are very self-critical, but at the same time, the shared mission internally, we don't have a QC department at Area 419 because it's incumbent on all 25 people here to be quality first and product first. And if something's not right, anybody in the building can walk up to anybody else and say, there's a problem with this, and I think it's probably something that you can either fix or you can help me find the person that can fix it. And we've been aggressive with that. And if somebody is on their first day in assembly and doesn't like something, they know they can come ask a question to John or Justin and I, and they're going to get a good, thoughtful response. They're encouraged to do so. And at the same time, we know that person speaking up is an opportunity for us to improve product, improve process, improve education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something that we feel strongly about. It's that shared mission. And we share a mission not only internally with product, but with our customers in the pursuit of the most rewarding, exciting, low frustration shooting experience possible.
That's an awesome way to do things because you get, in a roundabout way, without saying like buzzword bingo, but you get buy-in from everyone where they want to do the best they possibly can because again, it's all the same thing. Like you want it to be the coolest thing you've ever made.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a tier one shop for sure in there. We got a quick live question from William. He says that he loves y'all's stuff. He has a couple rifles with Hellfire brakes and adapters for the
Thank you, William.
Do you have any plans to develop a Hellfire suppressor mount for the Yankee Hill Machine QD adapter?
No. One of the things that we've decided not to do with suppressor mounts is make mounts for mounts, especially in systems where not a huge fan of ratcheting mounts unless you built a system that is to me, and there's probably one I'm missing. I don't want to upset the suppressor manufacturer, but like the Thunder Beast SR system, it's fabulous.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. The Yankee Hill system and like the AAC 51T, some of the especially past gen systems were really great at the time, but what they've seen with wear, like the 51T, those teeth start to get a little bit soft. They start to get a little rounded off. You might not be perfectly tight. So in a super hard use setting with a carbine, where you're getting a lot of really aggressive heat cycling, they can still have a great purpose. But for our core market in precision rifle or even somebody in precision carbine, that's not a system that we want to chain our wagon to, given that it would be an adapter for an adapter for an adapter.
right.
And we know certainly then, especially in an old ratcheting system, there's likely to be something that we don't like and we can't control.
As a follow-on, has anyone ever asked you for a secondary retention on your suppressor?
Sure they have.
Okay.
And it's not something that we have seen as a worthwhile complication. Now, going back to the one that I think is right now the gold standard for secondary retention in Thunder Beast SR, they had
that's
to
exciting.
They had to do it for what was a certain like SOCOM torture test or whichever one it is.
Yep.
You're basically it's
The
basically
surge test, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically impossible to survive some of those tests without that secondary retention. So that team is
Right.
enormously talented, very, very bright, and they figured it out. And it's somewhat complex, but it needed to be, and it was worth it for them. For us in our system, adding secondary retention, adding complexity, adding kind of oddity or additional confusion to the system isn't something that we think is worthwhile given our core customer set.
Right. And like you mentioned, it's made for competition, kind of precision market hunting, that type of thing, where you're not putting that type of count. So, yeah.
I had another live from Skylar. Is Area 419 hiring or have any job openings? I have a degree in CNC machining and gunsmithing.
Well, send anything you got, a CV, a resume, a paragraph, a cover letter, a video, whatever you got. Maybe whatever you got. Not everything, guys. But jobs at area419.com. We're always interested in talented people that have a passion for what we do. And before the comments blow up with, I wish you would build one in X town so that I could work there. I moved across the country. I moved from Missouri. We've got Zach, who moved here from West Virginia. Nathan came up from Columbus. We've got people that Drew, who's here, lived in Monroe and drove 45 minutes each way until he finally moved his family a little closer to the shop. We are not planning on opening a shop in your town, though they do sell homes in the area. So if you're a talented person that wants to invest in what you love and doing it for a living, whether it's in Area 419 or anywhere, if you think you're good, take a bet on yourself. Let's go.
But they do sell homes in the area. That's going to be the quote of the show.
Yeah,
So we were talking before that it's been a long time since we had you on. I look back, it was episode 214 was the last time we had you on. So that's been a very long time. So we probably won't cover every product that you've released since forever ago. But let's talk about some of your coolest, most recent products that you got going on.
All right, I'm going to start with our one-piece mount. And if Bryce is watching and sees me butcher this camera transition, forgive me. Bryce is another member of our team. Sarah, Nathan, the kind of my marketing core here at the shop. Bryce set up this set. I'd love to take any and all credit for things that have happened in our quality of video over the last couple of years, but the credit's his. The credit's to our social content getting much better over the last year. That's Sarah. Again, the team. I can't speak enough about the people in this shop, including Homer, that make it possible. But anyway, one-piece scope mount. Let me go to the top down. All right, so what Homer's doing behind me that you just saw is he's working with these. These are billets of aluminum that we can load a whole bunch of them into the carts behind me and turn them into these. This is a one-piece scope mount that has been through, let's see, this is a 30 millimeter tube, high height, so 154 or 39 millimeters, depending on if you are using inches or if you're a communist. And you know that's what's happening behind me. And those one-piece mounts then turn into a packaged good that is this, headed to your mailbox or a dealer near you. We're fortunate enough to have a few hundred dealers around the world that have been a huge part of our success. But this is the one-piece scope mount. It's ready to go. We also have our match scope rings that are obviously very similar to this. It's just two individual rings as opposed to a one-piece. Some cool things here. The way we're manufacturing is really the story, and the way we're making these. So Homer spits out this guy, which is not specifically unique in the way that scope mounts can be made. But we take this part, and then obviously we break it off from the tabs here. It goes in the machine. We run a second off. We get the holes and stuff on the other side. We make caps in separate operations. We send everything out to anodize. It then comes back. We assemble them with little shims in them, spacers, so that you got room for your optic to clamp down. We put them back in the machine, and then we final bore everything after anodize and as one unit, so that that these surfaces are perfectly round and perfectly square to one another, so that when you're putting them in your optic, you're not flexing your optic around what might be manufacturing tolerance. And as much as we'd like to think that we make parts with zero tolerance that are absolutely perfect, that's just not the reality of manufacturing. So, we looked at how do we alter this process to make it perfect. Also part of this one-piece scope mount, we've got a patent pending dual taper mount system up top here. So they all come with this little single section of Picatinny. But if you remove that, you begin to see the mount for the diving board. You can see kind of behind me over my shoulder this way. It's a little dark, but Nathan's rifle back there with Impact 4000 LRF on it. Full product. We can talk about that if you guys want. But the diving board is something that we took very seriously. We knew that there was kind of an arms race inside the market for who was going to make the most consistent, repeatable, solid one. And this is our entry. Again, patent pending. You've got two shallow tapers, similar to what you'd see on like a Hellfire system.
Okay.
They're in series here to help with alignment. When you put the diving board down on it, you'll see an air gap that we've designed to be drawn down so you're getting true dual contact. So you've got contact on those tapers, as well as seating the bottom of the diving board against the top of this flat surface here. And that gives us a lockup that is very repeatable, very rigid. Here, we can see a little better.
Okay. And is that to is that to maintain your consistency when you're zeroing the Impact 400 or whatever rangefinder? You zero it at 100 and make sure it stays at 100 and it's going to be at that point. You don't have to mess around with moving it around and everything.
Yeah, anytime that you start to hang something big and heavy, cantilever forward on something like this, you're putting a lot of stress onto a handful of points. So in the design, both with the way that we're getting excellent grab on the optic, that's useful here. That helps this top ring be as stable as possible, as well as we wanted the connection between the top cap and the diving board itself to be as strong as possible. So the dual tapers help with that alignment, obviously, but really it's about strength of the system and repeatability, so that when it draws down, there's nowhere for it to go.
Gotcha.
So that's the one piece there. We've also got.
Can we also talk about packaging? So I had a friend a long time ago, and his wife mentioned that their company's packaging looked like pizza boxes going out, and that they really should upgrade that, right? It's nice to see when you get something, again, that excitement comes through in the packaging. It's nice. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, we understand that while we are selling products that are very much tools, they're meant to serve a purpose. This is also, for most of the world, a hobby. There are some people who this is their absolute livelihood and their lives depend on it. And those guys deserve the very best products we can make. We deliver those. But for so many people, this is something they do for fun. And this is their escape. This is their way to go compete with themselves on a weekend, whatever it may be. And we know that when they buy something from us, and still at this point, something like 70% of our sales are still direct to consumer. So we have a large number of UPS boxes that leave here every single day. And whether you're buying it directly from us or you're going to a Shields or you're ordering from Brownells or Midway or Optics Planet or anybody like that, it's enormously important that you enjoy picking up the product or cutting our tape off of a box, or you're drawn to it in a way that shows that we care about the product that you're receiving. And that's evolved over time. We've got certain products that have gone to like hanging packaging, because for our brick and mortar retailers, whether you're again like a Shields or you're Allen Bennett at Full Circle in West County or Chesterfield, you want the right thing on the shelf, and it's got to look good, but it's also got to be useful for you in retail settings. So that's evolved. There's also an investment component to it that's what I'll call somewhat selfish or self-serving. So the Zero comes in custom foam that's pretty over the top. The reality is we've shipped more than 5,000 Zeros, and we've had, to my knowledge, 0 be destroyed in transit, and that includes shipping to 40 countries. So we've spent money on a nice heavy piece of foam that's custom cut, and fits really well, and it's well thought out, and it ships in a bigger box than maybe it needs to. But we're shipping things that need to be protected. We want them to show up and be nice. It's not bags of bowls. I mean, these are things that need to be highly functional and are quite precise, but are also expected to show up in good shape. So Packaging's always been important here because the experience from somebody knowing how it's being made or what's behind us, where we're doing it, who the people are that are making their parts, that's all important. But so is that actual product experience.
Yeah, it goes a long way having just good quality packaging because it really shows that you care, and then you have happy customers when they order something and it comes and it looks exactly like the picture on the website. Perfect, not this ding, that ding. So what other cool things you got down there?
All right, continue with the bag of tricks. The M series sizing die. So what's different here is the way that we have designed this, and right now it's for using the zero press. We'll very soon have the kind of standard shell holder that would allow you to use this with a rock chucker. You can also use it in the new Coax XL that came out. Forrester, being a great company, was nice enough to reach out and say, hey, can you send us one of these so that we make sure that our press can work with your die? That's huge cooperation and very much appreciated by the guys at Forrester.
Yeah.
This is a die that has headspace adjustability through a micrometer and is also a full-length solid surface sizing die. When we got into wanting to do this, because sometimes the most difficult part of setting up and reloading for especially new reloader is setting headspace. We
Right.
also know that more experienced reloaders want to be able to control that headspace really, really tightly and it be ultra consistent. We think that what we have here solves both of those problems. We basically set it up to where up in the head, you've got a micrometer that holds a solid stop, which then controls how far the sleeve here, which is actually your caliber specific part, how far it can go up into the body relative to this kind of bottom rim here. So your shell holder is always going to come up and contact this outer rim, and then your internal sizing sleeve will actually recess up a little bit into that body. So even if you have it all the way out, you're only going to size your brass to something like go -6-ish, depending on that product. So you can never disgustingly oversize your brass, but you can also adjust the die to where it allows, kind of if I back it out here, show you, where the black internal sleeve can get in down further than this, so you can make it a longer headspace if you want to. So that's the trick to this system. Some other cool features. The mandrel in here is the mandrel in here is precision ground. We have them available in various sizes for neck tension control. We think that the neck diameter should ultimately be determined by how you size it from the inside on the way out, because the whole reason to set neck tension is to hold the projectile, and the inside of your brass hold the projectile, not the outside. So we wanted the size there. The decapping pin is removable, easily replaced. We've got wrench flats on everything because we've all sat there with a pliers or a channel lock and tried to pop the little nut loose in decapping. So there are lots of those things built in the M-Series die. The response has been very good. The number of calibers that we offer for cartridges has continued to grow. And we're cutting those with reamers. This is not a boring operation. That allows us to hold a more precise dimension over more and more dies. And we think it's very important that every die be right, not just some of them, not just cherry-picked ones. And it's the expensive and kind of slow and more difficult way for us to do it, but it's yielding a product that is not only better on a part-to-part basis, but it's going to allow us to be consistent over hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dies in a specific cartridge.
That's really cool that it's modular. So this is kind of the weird use case that's applicable to maybe PRS. Let's say a guy goes with one brand of dasher brass and then he switches to another brand. This die is capable of being same die, you just adjust it to the new type of brass. Let's say you have a different chamber cut because you had a different chamber for that gun. You just adjust the die and you're set. Like you don't have to go and get a new custom die or anything like that.
In general, the answer to that question is have your chambers cut by somebody that is using an appropriate reamer for your cartridge.
Right.
One of the biggest problems, and I need to look at this. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor. Dasher is kind of a pain for the reloading world, and the way that our dies really happen as we were testing the Zero, we realized that a lot of our testing was just testing dies. So I began to really geek out and leaned on some guys in shooting and reloading, like Jim Jordan and Lou Merdeka, who have forgotten more about reloading than I'll ever learn. And I got into the nuance with them of what does die design look like? What should it look like? How should it work? We then got to talking with some of our really good friends in the industry at Alpha, Bob and Tom and Andrew and that team. And they said that their number one problem as a brass manufacturer is that chambers are very inconsistent. So get whatever brass you'd like, have it be wonderful brass, the best brass you can buy on the market. But if your chambers are all over the board and then they in series don't match the dies that are being used,
right?
Who cares? Your brass is out of luck before it even gets started. You don't have an opportunity to make a really consistent, easy to use, fun to use product. That's a difficulty there. So we said, all right, you guys are getting into making chamber dies because you wanted rifles to be chambered appropriately and consistently, and you wanted easy to access, properly spec dies or chambers. You want to make us some die reamers. So let's figure out how we want to size it, because there's nobody that knows how to size brass as consistently and as on scale as a brass manufacturer. And whether that's Alpha or Lapua or Peterson or whoever, those guys basically size brass for a living. That's all they do. So we said, you know what the chamber looks like to get the brass to be exactly what you want it to be. And we are willing to make the expenditure in both time and cash and all of those things to buy reamers to cut these dies that we can be very, very sure exactly the right size. We made pretty substantial investments into tool inspection with a great Speroni presetter that we can drop tools into. We can pull them on and off the system. A Capto, which is like a quick release tool holding system. We can measure them. We can measure the dies in CMM. We can hold those numbers. So we know that we're producing a die that works with good brass, that works with good chambers. Gunsmiths can go buy their legacy chamber reamers. They're accessible. Reamers are not terribly accessible if you look at buying them. If you want to order one from Manson or PTG or JGS, oftentimes your lead times can be really long. Alpha's worked really hard and invested heavily in them being easily available. So all of the parts lining up, from your rifle to your die to your brass to your all of those parts in the process, if they could just be meant to work together, it takes a lot of the trick of reloading and makes it go away. And that was that was a lot of the reason the dies happened and how they happened and how the backstory there.
That's super cool. It's good to have the full explanation. So I feel like sometimes on the internet, you get kind of like the forum effect where like you get part of the story, but it's not the full kind of detail thing. So it's really nice to hear the full detailed explanation of why it's so important to have all the quality components step by step. Because at the end of the day, like you said, it makes it easier. And a lot of this, it takes a lot of time. If I take less time in the garage reloading, great.
Most people on the internet, I should say most people, 100% of people on the internet are experts in the field. Regardless of what the topic is, everyone on the internet knows everything there is to know about it. And the approach we've taken in product development is anytime we move into a product, I take the posture of I know nothing about it. So I try to find everything that's wrong with every product I have. We've got good friends that are good dudes that cannot make anything work. I could give them a sand timer, and they'd find a way to break it. Those are some of the best friends to have because I can send them any product. Yeah, well, you're grandmaster in a lot of things, and it may just be breaking things as well. But I've got good friends that I can send any product, and if they have that thing for 2 months and have not found some way to destroy it or break something else with it, I think we're onto something. So taking the posture of we don't know anything, listening to all the experts on the internet, and distilling, all of that into something actionable is enormously important to us. And that's kind of what happened with the die is you go on, pick your internet forum, Sniper Side, 6MMVR, Facebook groups, and when the internet experts decide they know better, typically you can run down that rabbit hole, and whether they actually know better or not, it can lead you down interesting routes of investigation and can lead to cool opportunities and cool things to find.
So over the lives, William said that your description of your friends was Corey to a T.
Okay.
I'm not going to
William
name.
has
I'm
seen
not going
me
to name many
break
more
more
names than that, but we all have that friend. Every one of us has that friend, or 10, or 15.
Yeah. Then Eric asked, he said, on some Area 419 videos, they showed M series die seating bullets. Will this be a new feature?
Somewhat. So there are certain parts of this that can also be turned into a seating die. Basically, you'll see some extra stuff up here. The internals are a little bit different, but the reality is we like to focus on the products where we think we can make the most difference in what's on the market. Seating dies in general, there are some pretty good ones. Some that we feel really comfortable with, some that do a really good job, whether it's a Reading product, and they've been kind of a standard in their seaters for a long time. You've got the new stuff from the Cruise Short Action Customs. I mean, there are good dies on the market for seating specifically. We think that's something where the difference we can make is not as big as we can make in the sizing market. So we're going to make our M series dies, which we are now, and you're also going to kind of a product that doesn't exist yet, but we'll talk about, is the S series die, where we take a lot of the same manufacturing elements and move it into a more simplified 7/8 inch die. Now you'll lose the micrometer adjustability of your headspace because we simply don't have enough footprint this way in a 7/8 die to make that work and retain the strength that we kind of want in the system. But we're still going to reamer cut them. We're still going to use ground mandrels on the inside. We're going to introduce a top tier 7/8 die and do it at a price and we won't be the most expensive 7/8 die on the market because we think that what we figured out is a way to make something really great and really useful that can be the right product for more people. The M series die maybe isn't the right product for everybody, and we know that, but we still think that we can deliver a improvement in consistency and quality to the market with a 7/8 die in the S series that's very nice. So that is likely to see a lot of effort before we get heavy into the seating dies. Now, things happen, maybe that plan changes, but right now we think sizing is where we can make a lot of difference in the market.
I'm going to be refreshing your website for that 308 sizing die. It's like it's here by.
I'm almost certain they're in stock online.
No, the other one, the one you said that could fit in the standard sizing. Yep.
Yeah, the 7/8 series.
Yep. Brass prep on to Dylan. I'm gonna say Thanksgiving, Black Friday. It'll be up.
No.
No.
That is certainly a 2024 product. The only thing that you will see new from us, to segue here, okay, I say the only thing. The big thing that you will see new from us between now and Black Friday, and you may see this as little as like 2 weeks, is our QD Arc-A-Lock clamp. This is something that we thought we were much closer to earlier in the year. We made a bunch of them. We torture tested them. We found those friends that break everything. We sent them to them. Then we got further down the process, made sure all of our coatings were right, things like that. Again, they weren't. So we've had a wonderful amount of kind of luck and good fortune in getting products to go from zero to ready to go really quickly. But this one took a little more time. That said, this one it's ready to go with the correct coatings on everything, the correct parts on everything. This guy is ready, and I think sometime in the next 2 weeks you'll see these online and ready to go. And we'll also have we've got our one-piece scope mount that we've got more and more SKUs coming into stock on. You'll also see our hunting rings. We've got the match rings, the tactical one-piece mount, as well as the hunt rings coming. Those will share a lot of similarities they'll share a lot of things in the manufacturing process with the match and the tactical products. We're just going to put it on the diet. So we'll slim them down a little bit while retaining as much rigidity and robustness as possible on the mount. And I think that'll be a good product right about the end of the year. I don't see it being before Christmas, but it's not going to be terribly far past that, I don't think.
So I guess something I should have asked you before we went live on air is how many shooting products besides for that other thing are down there? Do we have any more left?
Yep, got one more.
One more.
I've got, and we'll go through this again. This is our Headspace and Ogive gauge kit. The way these work, I mean, this is a fairly standard body that, and we're threading in here, and bottom anvil to be able to like measure headspace, as well as bullet overall seating length. The differences here, again, we're reamer cutting these because we want product number 1 and product number 10,000 to be exactly the same, so that we can ultimately publish, here's what your headspace should be using our kit. You know, zero your calipers, you put everything together the right way, and you should get this number when you are sizing grass. That's not something that you can generally use with comparator products on the market, because while many of them have served a great purpose, they are typically comparator products, if for no other reason than they are made in a way that, with these small things that we are measuring, are very difficult to make uber consistent. We then get into our bullet overall, or like cartridge overall length, or bullet ogive measurement gauges. These are actually cut with a reamer that is a 1.5 degree lead angle, which is what's happening inside your rifle's chamber, so that when you are measuring that projectile, it's not simply some datum point or some line. It is what's actually happening inside your chamber. We think that's the right way to do it. We've all been in a situation where we go from, let's say, 108 ELDs to 110 A-tips, and you can seat them with the same seating die set up the same way, and your comparator measurements are wildly different. We didn't like that. So we wanted to solve that with internal geometry on the ogive gauges. We've also got this cool little height stand that goes with the product. So, you know, if you've got this on your, do I have the right? You have the right Allen key for this. If you've got this product on your calipers and it's in use, you can basically click it in here, and it's magnetic. It holds the product. It leaves you a free hand to operate here. Or we even had some people give us the insight, and it's super smart that they were doing it. You could flip it, put your larger body portion up here, and then use gravity more to your advantage and letting that product move up and down. So that Headspace ogive gauge system is one that sold out when we introduced them really, really quickly. And you know, we'll have more pretty soon.
That is wild. I love the thought put into that. So we're through all the shooting products, but there's also another industry you guys have kind of dove into a little bit more. You got some sort of a golfing type tool around you too, don't you?
So just like every firearm product in the building, every rifle product, every reloading product was born of, we like doing this, we can't find exactly the right thing we want. Probably 2 years ago, because I mean, I've not shot as many matches recently, and the other prop I brought was the children. My kids are 10 and 8, and I'm spending a lot of weekends on soccer sidelines and football sidelines. John's kids are getting a little bit older. They're real humans. We're not spending as much time on the road driving from Ohio to Tennessee, or going to Salt Lake City, or wherever we want to go. We spent a little more time at home, so we started playing a little more golf. And seemingly, we've had Drew's bringing me parts here. He's got more props, so I can show a broken down one. We were buying new clubs, and through a lot of the process, we could be nerds and pick out how do we want the club to work, and the shaft and drivers are very modular and fittable. Putters, not so much. So we felt we could take a lot of the same concepts of modularity from firearm, an AR-15. You want to build an AR to your liking? Pick whatever parts you want. Same, whatever trigger you want, whatever handguard you want, buttstock you want, all the features. And our putter design, and we're going to relaunch these late this year, hopefully around Christmas time. So if you need another long, skinny box into your Christmas tree that's not a firearm, this will be a good option for you. We've got several interchangeable fillable parts here, from the hosel to the face, the heel and toe weights, the tail, and it all attaches to, here's what Drew brought over to me, a centralized kind of chassis product that everything joins onto. So through a fitting process that you can either do yourself with some instructional video, or kind of a fitting guide that we'll have with a toolkit that can go out with these if you want to purchase one. You can dial it in the best you can, but just like with a rifle, We can sell you a wonderfully nice rifle, but if you don't know how to drive it, you're still going to miss targets. Same thing.
Oh, whoa.
Same thing works with putters. Just because we can sell you the finest putter that you can buy, that can be made anywhere on earth, you still got to drive it. So
I feel like there's a
that's
lot
kind of
directed right at me.
No,
Like,
that
can't
one was
golf,
me.
break stuff.
you are all of us, Corey.
So we are always talking on the show about how to grow the sport, how to grow the industry. Are there any particular competitions that you think are capable of shifting the gun industry? Whether it's a style match or a match in particular, do you think there's a match that can help drive?
I think today it's 22. It's rimfire. The glory of rimfire is you can do a really good match on a 200-yard range, and that brings long range style shooting. And I'm sure there are other options with action sports, and the grandmaster knows those answers. But as far as rifles go and shooting long range, I think that precision 22 does a lot. I think the ideal precision 22 match, it's lower pressure, it's cheaper to get into, it's less formal. You can have them in many more locations, because the difficult part of a range that goes up to 1,000 or 1,200 or a mile is those are basically the opposite. You find those in places that are opposite of where you find people. And population centers and mile ranges don't go well together. But 200-yard ranges are a lot of places, even 100-yard ranges, you can put on a pretty decent match. And I know that the air rifle community's come along and kind of begun to be involved. And there's a division in PRS, rimfire, and NRL 22, and the different kind of people running matches. I think that's a huge thing for the sport. It gets more people in. There are going to be some people that go from a rimfire shooter to wanting to shoot PRS or wanting to get into a different action sport or whatever it may be. And there are other people that decide they really like shooting 22, and that's what they want to shoot, and they become really, really good at it. So I know 22 is not new, and it's not some in the future match, but I think it's really cool. We also sponsored this year a match of Snipers Unknown Challenge, and this is a more it's a match where you shoot, but it's also a match where you must think. They are team matches, and team matches are great for learning how to add another element of communication and observation and teamwork into a match. I think that provides some difficulty, though, in the match, that if it's a solo person match and you want to go shoot any match anywhere in the country, pack your bags, buy a plane ticket, do whatever you want, you can go shoot it. Team matches require a little more coordination out of that individual. Maybe people feel like there's a little more barrier to getting into them because you have to find a partner that you can get along with. So there are certainly some things that will keep that from being some massive style match that takes over everything. But I think they're really cool. The hunter matches out there are cool, and I think bring in another element of practical application of precision rifle. I think there are some similar scaling limitations on some of those matches. Typically, the way they're set up, you can't have quite as many people. The places where you can do them are a little more limited. So as far as matches to do a ton of people, PRS and the scaled rimfire version of them are quite good. But it's an exciting time to be a competitive shooter. And I think that PRS and Shannon and Ken have done a good job of being a stable, centralized body. Corey, before the show, you brought up Three Gun Nation. Three Gun Nation worked really well for like 9 months until it ran out of other people's money. Is kind of the impression that I got from it. Somebody can correct me. Shooting sports typically are not a great way for a centralized governing body, be it PRS or Three Gun Nation or whatever, to become cash machines. USPSA and IDPA, for all of the things that people may not like about them, whatever, them being either nonprofit or unprofitable groups has been good for them. It allows them to be pure competition for the sake of competition. I cut my teeth in Missouri with the most series, so shout out to Buzz and that entire crew, and Ryan Hunt and Sean and Haggerty. All of those guys did a fabulous job of, you show up to a match and the winner got a Twinkie and last place got a Twinkie and everybody enjoyed it, and we bought cookies from Justin Bramber's daughter. And it was fun, and it was unimposing, and it was simple, and I was there to compete against me and miss as few targets as possible. and look like I knew what I was doing when I grabbed a rifle. You know, I wanted to be good at the gun. It wasn't about the prize table. It wasn't about the Facebook post or anything like that. It was just a lot of fun. As a kid, I grew up shooting. I grew up enjoying it, and I could do that there. And that's one of the I fell so in love with, well, all of this.
So
Yeah,
what
that's another
Go ahead.
that's another thing that a lot of the matches that are doing really well have is that family aspect, where you see like John Kyle coming with the kid and family. You know, Amy Lynn's at the same match, she's doing her thing. That the matches with the 22 in particular really have that family like feel and aspect to them, where dad's coming out with not just, you know, his son, but the daughter, the mom's coming out. I think that's something that, especially in PRS and 22s across different sports, that's definitely there.
Yep.
So what all competitions do you shoot, Craig? What are you shooting now? I know you've done a variety of things. What all are you shooting currently?
I am shooting a camera with a lens on it at my kids' ball games right now. I'm enjoying them being kids. And in 2020, I shot like 14 two-day matches and a ton of them. And I'm dragging a trailer all over the country. And they're very long weekends, and they were wonderful. And then when the world kind of came back online in 2021, 2022, I looked down and had an 8 and a 6-year-old or a 9 and a 7-year-old. And I was either going to see them grow up or I was going to be on the firing line. So I haven't shot as much in the last probably year and a half. But there will come a time that they grow up and decide that they want to, you know, they're going to go live their lives, and I'll see you guys shoot again. And I'll see everybody between there now and then. But internally in the shop, we've got people that are shooting standard PRS matches. Nathan shot a USPSA match or two. Corey, you got to get him to like a real one and drag his ass a little bit.
Hey, this weekend, Ohio, tell them to come down. We'll shoot nationals together.
He's at Major Lands. He and Zach leave Friday early morning to go to Major Lands Sniper Comp. And this is the team sniper style comps where, you know, like the
Adam
Impact
Burt?
4000 back there. What?
Is that with Adam Burt? Is that the one he's doing?
I don't know who.
No? Okay.
I thought Brant was. I don't know. I don't believe this is Adam's match, but I could definitely be wrong.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. So there's been kind of 2 new products that have kind of hit the interwebs within the last week or so, and you somehow managed to get your hands on both of them before we even knew they existed.
You knew they existed. I'm sorry. We're doing digs this week.
I didn't get my safety pin if you guys don't stop being mean to me. So we'll start with the cool thing we see back behind you right there, kind of peeking out of the dark, kind of overpowered by the awesome robot. The new Vortex Impact 4000.
Yeah, let me get this rifle down. It's like 70 pounds.
As all PRS rifles should be.
All right. So Impact 4000, this is new weapons-mounted LRF system from Vortex. They say streets like $2,000. If you look around, you can probably find one for like $1,850 or so. Like I think that's what dealers are moving them at roughly right now. It's a sweet unit. Weapons-mounted LRFs are not a new thing. Nathan, before he had this thing, had a Raptor. Really great, expensive, and most of them were developed a decade ago or more. Vortex comes out with this. It's a pretty manageable price point product. It's $2,000 compared to 10, and it's got good UI. They knew that a more manageable price point product needed to happen. The technology was ready for it. Like the Silencer Coat Radius, cool product, kind of ahead of its time. People weren't as ready for it then, I don't think. And what they've been able to do at Vortex is impressive. So that's the Impact 4000. We had one for a few months. Nathan had this on his rifle at the Corey waits in the comments. He'll know here. Gathering the Snipers at Pig a couple weeks ago. Nick Waffenberg had his there. They're really cool. They do what they're supposed to. They do it well. It's not some massively overpriced product. So the Impact 4000 from Vortex is a pretty cool deal.
And so if people are interested in learning a whole lot more about this product, you have pretty much a full-length feature video over on the Area 419 Facebook page talking about it.
Yeah, we put that up on launch day. And again, we're really fortunate with some of the relationships we have in the industry that when cool new things are coming, if it's somebody that we've got a relationship with, they'll say, hey, got this cool new thing, whether they're calling me or they're calling Nathan or they're calling John or whoever, and say, we'll send you one, tell us what you think, and if you like it, we'll figure something out. We like doing videos. It's good for our content stream. We want our customers to see the new cool thing. Selfishly, the Impact 4000 is a wonderful product to go on our tactical scope mount with diving board. And we're even going to do a diving board that's a little bit lower to get the LRF a little bit down closer to the system. This tall one's really good for a Raptor, which wraps a little bit around the rail. But we like this product being in market because it creates more need for an exceptionally well-built diving board system.
I love it. The honesty.
Yeah, it works out good.
While we're here doing it because we love it, same time it's a business. So
yeah,
let's sell some product.
Works out.
Including if anybody likes the sweatshirt. I saw Nathan in the comments on the live feed. Nathan dropped the link to the sweatshirt. Great crew neck if you're looking for something for fall to impress your shooting buddies, your wife. I don't know. It's a great shirt. Pick one up.
It is a pretty nice shirt. And then there's another thing that we kind of saw earlier when we were looking at your Arca clamp. What was that?
I got
cool?
I was allowed by Garmin to get this out a little bit. We got this little sucker like right after 4th of July. I went back and looked at my text today, July 6th. So we've had it for a few months. I'm not going to tell you much more than it comes out on the 19th of October, and price point on them is going to be $599. But we got this thing in July, loved it. Almost immediately went to Glass, and then obviously Brad Lyons, our regional sales rep, and said, "Hey, we love it. We want to be a Garmin dealer. I want to get a bunch of these in for launch." And while we're at it, we built an attachment arm that will also be available at launch. And again, all these black anodized parts are sometimes hard to see. This is an arm that allows you to mount the Zero C1 onto your rifle. And like Francis Cologne had his at the Gap Grind, was shooting it on his gun in several stages. We've almost exclusively used it on the rifle. Nathan actually used one of these with a Picatinny adapter here on his diving board on his rifle, oriented this way at the F-Class national matches at Perry, and they allowed it, which was super cool. But you can shoot with this on the rifle. It uses our Arcalock clamps, or if you want somebody else's clamp, whatever, they'll attach onto these. At launch of the Garmin product, we will have a bunch of these units, as well as arms. We will have these. Chad at 5x5 Precision, Chad Heckler will have some. George at GA Precision will have some because he's doing some Garmin units as well. They'll be ready to go with the units. The arm here, we're going to retail that at $60, and then if you need a clamp, that would obviously be additional. But we will have on drop day packages ready to go, ready to ship. It is everything you are seeing here, and will probably be something like maybe 7 or 750 with a knob clamp, something closer to maybe 8 with the big 17 clamp. And those numbers are high. I'm just kind of couching until we've made final decisions on all that price.
So easy numbers. For those of us following along, just putting reminders on when to buy things. That's the 19th of October. I should look at your site again.
Yes,
I
just like
Impact,
Impact 4000 day was a big day. I think the Garmin Zero C1 day will be unavoidably all over the place.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I've spoke with a few people that have played with them over the last couple of days, and I want one very badly, and they're all telling me that like if you want it, you're gonna have to move.
So the really nice thing about Garmin entering the market here is Garmin's a big boy company. They're global, and Garmin's been making radars in the aviation and marine markets for a very long time. And they also have like they have golf radar products where they have like a little simulator that tracks ball flight. Bringing radar into products for Garmin is not new. Garmin also has an enormous amount of manufacturing capacity. So this is not a product that I think will be unobtainium, at least not for very long. They shared with me today numbers of how many are in the first batch, and then the second batch, which is already already moving. It's already on the way. That first day, they may sell out, but then there are going to be more of them 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever later. And then there will be more of them and more of them. And when a company like Garmin decides they're going to make something and they're going to fill the pipeline, it's going to happen. They're a real company. They're big boys. They're a multinational, very, very big organization. So I would expect if somebody really wants one, you can probably have one under the Christmas tree.
If somebody really, really wanted one, could you like write their name, like it just spell it out Cory and just set it aside and just know that I'm.
I've got a small mesh bin under my desk that I'll file that in.
Dang. So I know you can't give a whole lot of details about it. We don't want to get in trouble. And more details on this will be coming to the Shooter's Mindset here pretty soon. But like, what's your initial impression of the Garmin Chrono? Like, without
it does
going
everything. It does everything that you want it to. You know, kind of your checkbox for a chronograph. Does it catch every shot? Does it give you a good reading? Is it simple to use? Is the UI good? Can I use it on everything that I shoot? It does all of those things, and it does them well. Battery life's really good on it. I don't have a nitpick, and as a guy who nitpicks products kind of for a living, they've done one. And there have even been things in the process like the UI. We didn't like it the first day we got it. There were things that weren't as intuitive or straightforward as they should have been. Some of the screens weren't set up quite the way we liked it, and I don't think we were alone in that. I know several other people that have these and have had them for a little bit, but they updated it. And that says a lot for an organization to be willing to, being capable to, being able to push out updates to us to where we've got a product that went from being pretty close to let's party in 3 months of software management. Garmin's also a company that if you've owned their products for any period of time, they push out software updates and they consistently make products better. So I think these will be a really good thing for that kind of high-level chronograph user.
That is awesome. So we really look forward to seeing those real soon. We're a little bit past the midpoint of the show, but remember, if you're watching us live on Facebook, ask any questions you may have us in the comments section of the video. We'll ask it live on air. Other ways to catch us, you can always check back to the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. The videos stay up there forever. And we usually upload to all the podcast apps the night after the show. Then finally, everything eventually ends up on the Shooter's Mindset YouTube page. So that's a great place to look up past episodes, especially ones like this where we have all sorts of awesome props. It's a lot better on YouTube than the podcasts. If you're gearing up for hunting season, you're going to want to listen closely. We've got an offer to tell you about that could score you up to $750 in gear. This amazing promotion is brought to you by our friends at Christensen Arms. If you don't know Christensen, they created the first carbon fiber barrel back in 1995, and they've been making world-class rifles ever since. Now through October 31st, when you buy any eligible Christensen Arms rifle, you can send their team a simple form with your original receipt. Once they verify your purchase, they'll email you an electronic gift card good for up to $750 on their online store, which is stocked with premium accessories from Christensen, as well as other amazing brands like Leopold, Mystery Rants, Half-Face Blades, Uncharted Supply Company, and more. Go to christensenarms.com to learn more and take advantage of this offer.
All right. So I need to know, what is the one product that you're most proud of? Like, if you could hang your hat on one thing at the end of all this, like this company is $1 billion company. What's the one thing that you're most proud that you released so far?
That's a tough one. Probably
I know.
the press. Today
The press?
probably the
Okay.
press. Because the press was such a leap into the unknown. It was manufacturing a $1,200 at the time press. It was expensive for us to manufacture. People think you sell a press for $1,200, and we put $1,200 in our pocket. That's wildly wrong. That's wrong in so many ways.
That's how all the retail is, right?
Right. Everything's free, right? These free. Nobody's paying for those.
Homer works for free. He doesn't even have power.
Right, exactly. There's a bunch of hamsters in the bottom on wheels. But that was a product that was a big leap for us. We spend more to make a zero than like any other press on the market costs to buy at retail. So it was a major investment for us. It was a product that when we did the live stream in like early lockdown, everybody said, "You're an idiot. Nobody's going to buy these." And like I said, we've shipped
I remember the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't even real product. It was renders. We had some like test products, but it was not showtime. It was not ready. Like we were not ready to ship out. And I think the first batch was like 250 of them or something, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The product wasn't ready then, but we really believed in what was happening. The team was smaller. Our resources were obviously much less, but we felt really good about this is a product that we're willing to gamble on and make a bet on ourselves. If that thing flops, it's really bad for Area 419. I don't know where Area 419 is if that flops, but it worked. And one of the most humbling parts of that is still to this day, when I go back and look at who we have sold presses to, half or a little better of the people buying zeros, that's the first thing they buy from us. So it's not as though somebody had a Hellfire and a funnel kit and an Arca rail and all these products, and then they decide to come buy a press from us. It's people saying, I think those guys are doing it right. I'm going to spend the money. I can buy another press. It's a fine product. You know, maybe it doesn't do everything I like or not as well, but a fine product for a fraction of the cost. But I'm going to support those guys because I like the way they're doing it. That's enormously humbling for us.
Yeah, and you guys, so I was going to guess this, but you guys did a really special run of that press as kind of a one-time thing. I think it was 25 units.
Yep.
But doing, I guess, and guys can figure out kind of what we're talking about, but doing small things like that, it's so much bigger. And kind of what you're saying about kind of believing in yourself and just doing something because you know, like, this is the right way to do it. It seems to be like a common theme on like parts and just making things. So I think that's super cool that that's how you think about the press is like, we really, like you said, the live stream. The live stream is the internet, right? It can be super cool or it can be, you know, like terrifying when you don't really have a finished product and everyone's saying it's too expensive. But selling out that first batch, I can see why, you know, that's kind of like something to hang a hat on.
Yeah, it's great for us. Another thing we like doing, and I'm reading through comments here, and Nathan mentioned Echo Machine. That's a guy that he owes us nothing, we owe him nothing, but we think is doing really cool things. So this is like Yankee Hill and 51T Mount. Echo Machine, he's a guy, Nick Bosco. He takes those old cans and he will cut them off at the back and replace that rear end with like a hub mount where you can run any like Silent Control Mega Mount. I really like what he's doing, and I've been fortunate to have interactions with guys like Nick or like a Wayne Patrick at Mighty Armory that does the little decapping spring-loaded dies. We buy a ton of them. Dustin Coleman at Coltac, or Tom at Tom Armageddon Gear, or the Trigger Tech guys, all the way to guys that we don't sell their product and they don't sell ours, but like Tate at Impact, or John Kyle and Amy Lynn at Foundation. The people in the industry that we've had the fortune to get to know and work with and share our lives with a little bit. Dan McNamee at Two Vets is a great example of it for me. I think more than any product, the relationships that we've been able to build professionally and personally, and the way that we have been able to build relationships with our customers and that they could trust us the way that they do, that's so much more important. The team here is so much more important than any individual product, but it's because of those things that the products, I think, can really transcend a hunk of aluminum, right?
Yeah.
I agree. So a lot of people, I know, reach out to try and get people to support their brand. So two kind of questions: do y'all support matches? And when you do, what do you expect to see out of it? What do you want your return on investment to be if you support them?
We never go into match support looking for ROI because it is impossible to pin down. It's impossible to put a finger on. And at the same time, if I'm buying a magazine ad, it's an ROI decision. If we're buying a machine, it's an ROI decision. If we're hiring somebody, it's, there's an ROI component to it. But when we're supporting matches, we treat it as though we are throwing money into a trash can and burning it and feeling good about it, because we know that at the end of the day, no matches, no 419. So no individual match for us is an ROI decision. And in reality, we could probably stop supporting matches and be okay, but that's irresponsible for us as stewards of shooting sports. So we never support a match for the ROI. And there might be a match where there's a tremendous amount of ROI, but we don't think it's being run for the right reasons, or we think that it's doing something that's detrimental for the sport, and we're not going to support it. So we will throw money into a fire to support the right things happening with the right people in the right places, and walk away from opportunities that may be short-term ROI generators. Because again, we want Area 419 to be something that's in operation for 100 years. I want my kids to work here. I want everybody here to know that there's an opportunity to retire here. And that means making decisions about what we support based on 50 years from now, not what's a flash in the pan that can be exciting as is.
I love the idea of kind of family companies like that think not, I've been here for 45 quarters, I've been here for 45 years.
Yep.
And I think that's a great way to look at, supporting matches is just like, it's what we like to do. We want to make it happen, and we appreciate that. I was getting in here looking around and realized the amount of Area 419 products I've pulled off of prize tables over the years. You can kind of see up in the corner there, barely. There's a rail on a chassis that I pulled off of a prize table, and there's another one in the safe. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, and we love giving things to matches that are not. We can give away presses and Mavericks and all those things, and they can go to somebody who's finishing really high up the list. But that same expenditure, knowing what we have in a press or in a Maverick, I can give the same amount of product and reach many more people if it's a muzzle brake or an Arca rail or even a reloading die or something that's in that $100 to $250 price point. I'd rather give away, instead of sending a $1,300 press, I'll send $1,300 of $100 to $250 products that are going to go to that mid-pack shooter who's really trying to put together a rifle system. And that product, not that I hate things being resold by guys that win things on a prize table, but I want it to go to somebody who's more likely to use it and get enjoyment out of our contribution, as opposed to selling a $100 product for $80 on the hide and going on with their day. And I'm not begrudging that or hating that, but I love to see our products be used and not just be forum fodder.
No, I 100% as a match director, I wish more came that way, because it's just more people that walk away with something that they can build, right? So if they're doing a scope mount for a CZ, or if they're doing a die or whatever it is, it's something that they can have a little bit of ownership of and see how it works, and just it's better for them to come back. I don't think, as much as I love seeing, the giant support, I don't think the scope, like the huge scope, does that, right? Along with that, where do you see kind of precision competition in 5 years? Like, do you see it fundamentally changing?
5 years is an enormously long time. So if you think to what were shooting sports 5 years ago, specifically related to precision rifle, who owned the PRS 5 years ago? Was it Brian Dennis? Like, what was happening 5 years ago? Or was it still the conglomerate and it was like the board with Shannon and George and all those guys? 5 years ago is an eternity, especially in hobby sports. Most people only stay in a hobby for 3-4 years. And while shooting can be a very serious endeavor for people that you can do for decades, most people, the people that fill your matches, get really hot and heavy into it for a period of time, and then they have kids, or they get busy, or they move, or their job gets serious, or they get into some other hobby. And this happens. I think that shooting sports will always continue to grow and change and evolve. I think that the good news with precision rifle growing is you're now getting kind of niche fragments that are pretty cool. So NRL Hunter, kind of a niche fragment. ELR has
Yeah.
kind of blown up. These team sniper matches have become cooler and cooler, or like mammoth ruck style matches, or competition dynamics is not new, but there's somebody else that's in kind of that tighter niche space. I think more of that
Right.
happens, and you get cooler selection, better and better opportunities for people to go do different things. But I think that PRS is kind of here to stay. The PRS style rimfire is here to stay. And I think that the organization that Shannon built and Ken has done a wonderful job with taking over is stable. And that's a good thing. There was that hot spot in PRS where I thought there was an opportunity for it to be vulnerable, kind of like we saw with 3-Gun and 3-Gun Nation.
Yeah.
But I think that things have gone well for the shooting sports subs.
Yeah, I think so. We do track like how long someone is with our club, for example, and the turnover is there. But the thing that we've kind of seen, if you look into the data, like into individuals, is if you track family, like if they make a lot of friends at the match, or if they have, their kid comes out, as long as, the kid doesn't find girls and go off into college or whatever, you typically see people that kind of have that group stay a little bit longer. And I think that's why I asked kind of like that 5 year mark, because like you said, 2 to 3 years for an average hobby, but we've seen a little bit longer. So that it's interesting.
Yeah, infrastructure is so important, and consistent experience is very important. So the largest
Yeah,
food chains on earth, you look at like a McDonald's or a Starbucks or any of those
right.
products. The reason that people love McDonald's or they love Starbucks, yes, their products are delicious, but I can walk into one of those places, whether it's right next to my house or it's in
Mhm.
Seattle or it's in Key West, wherever you want to go, and
Right.
the consistency is there on experience. And I think that that's really happening with precision rifle matches. And if you want that non-typical experience, there are more and more options available for that. But having
Yeah,
that centralized standard bearer, either TRS or TRS-22, whatever, like your centralized products, your kind of your vanilla ice cream of precision long-range shooting, they need to be super consistent. I want that ice cream
yeah,
to be exactly the same for everybody to get into it, because it's a very palatable product. It's something that's easy to fall in love with. There's an enormous amount of information available for somebody wanting to get into it. So I think that those structures that infrastructure being solid is a big deal for precision rifle having staying power.
right. And people always ask like, what's the value of the membership, right? When you buy this membership, I think that's the part that's not emphasized enough is consistency of rules. You go to a USPSA match, it'll have a different flavor, but it'll be the same rule
Yep.
structure. And I think that the PRS, like one thing that I really hope they start doing a little more is going to the newer match directors and saying, this is what works at the biggest matches, and this is what they do well. This is what you're doing really well locally, but these little things you could do to increase that kind of like staying power and make it bigger at the local level.
Yep. I agree. And I think they do as much as they can. The reality of this is,
Yeah.
again, that Ken is not getting rich with PRS. MDs are not
No.
getting rich running their matches. This is very
No.
much a labor of love,
Yeah.
especially at like the professional match level. So you want that person to have as much freedom as possible to express what they love in the match,
Yeah.
and try to marry that with an experience consistency. And that's a difficult balance. I always thought
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
Shannon and now Ken had a very difficult job in kind of herding cats. And what works in Texas and what works in North Carolina and what works in Wisconsin can be very different things.
Yeah.
So making something work generally it's hard, but I think that they've done a quite good job at it, and that's borne out in PRS being really stable.
Yeah.
So we've talked about what the sports are going to be in 5 years. Now, where do you see Area 419 5 years from now?
Again, 5 years ago, I was doing this podcast in a $60 a night hotel because I hadn't yet moved up here from Missouri. So for me to predict that would be that's a tough prediction. That said, I think that we have quite a bit to offer in precision rifle parts and reloading tools and accessories. We've got internally a roadmap that's at least a year, realistically 18 to 24 months of major product rollouts. And there will be small things like this mount arm was not something that we obviously had roadmapped in June. We had never seen a chronograph unit before. But what I'll call a smaller or a simpler release, there's a lot of this stuff that will happen. But the big products and the big projects, we've got a decent roadmap for those. We also have a great deal of flexibility with that we enjoy. 100% of the products made here are Area 419 products. We're not a job shop. There's a huge amount of flexibility in that for us. We're not a machine shop that was doing everybody else's work but then decided to make some of our own products. We are very much an in-house manufacturer of our own goods. So we have a ton of flexibility there. You see with the golf product, the idea of moving into some other spaces and seeing if being a manufacturer of high-end outdoor goods, hobby goods, can be something you can grow in. And whether it's golf or archery or fishing or side-by-sides or pickup trucks or whatever it is, I think you'll continue to see us explore doing cool things that we enjoy. But the one thing that I'll tell you won't change is that we will continue to pour kind of heart and soul and everything we have into making really good, really consistent products that make people's lives better when they order them from us.
It sounds like you guys might be getting into the locomotive industry back there. I think I heard a train horn.
No, that was a roughing pass on one of the machines. So you see, obviously, Homer and the Grove running behind me, but there are 10 machines running right now, and I'm here, and then Drew is here just to make sure that that Homer and the automation system stays happy. That thing's been on the floor for 2-3 weeks, and there are some small kinks that we're making sure work right. And we wanted to make sure everything ran smoothly in the background here. But there are a lot of parts running right now in the shop, and we're a one-shift shop and continue to invest in automation so that with one shift of team, we can all be here together, we can work together, we can collaborate, but still make as many parts as possible and be as efficient as possible.
That's awesome. So do you guys normally have stuff run overnight?
Basically every night. We have a lot of machines run all the time, and that's our whole goal is every time we double our manufacturing capacity, we want to do it with a 50% increase in manpower. And we very much want to have it remain a one-shift shop because working overnights, adding all those people, you begin to have a greater disassociation from different teams of people in the shop. We all like being here at about the same time. So if you're here between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., everybody that works here is here. Now, we have some people that'll come in really early. Some people that run the 3 first shift, some people that run the 1.5 shift and work a little bit later in the day. We have a lot of flexibility with our team in that. But through the middle of the day, everybody's here. Everybody's working together. We can really get things done as a team. So that's a monumentally important part of what we're doing.
Yes, it would be nice to have everything going on during the day and not have a phone sitting next to you all night that you're waiting for it to ring and see what goes on at night. So do you have any clue how many product SKUs Area 419 has released to date?
It's around 300.
Okay, so we're getting close.
I saw that in the show notes, and I'm going to have to ask Justin and Maddie to check my math there on about 300. We have a huge number of products, right? And inside each of those products are all these part numbers, and then we have different variations and combinations and permutations of different products. So SKUs is how many products we have and then how many SKUs we have are very weird numbers. Part numbers are very weird. I have no idea what product number 419 will be, but if we can chart it out, the odds that it is gold are 100%. We've got on this guy, let's see if it'll autofocus for me so you guys can see. Yep. We've got the little gold adjustment knob on the clamp. We've got a litany of kind of gold finished products that we really enjoy. If we know a product is number 419, it'll be gold. I don't care what it is. It might be something that has no business being gold.
Start producing gold grills.
Oh, Justin says we're closer to 400. So we are closer to product number 419 than I thought we were.
I really hope that it's something that has absolutely no business being gold, and it's just like a random height one piece scope mount or something, and it's just like, yep, sorry,
Yeah.
this one's only available in gold.
Yeah, cantilevered. It'll be something obscene, and it will certainly at least exist, if not be available in gold.
Nice, good plan.
That would be great. Are there any more lives?
Any what?
Yeah, there's a couple. We did get clarification on what the train noise was. That was apparently an end mill hogging out something.
Oh yeah, that was heavy material removal. Mike Goodyear, Mike, he knew.
And then Jake Vibert said he loves a zero press. Highly recommended.
Yeah, and from a guy like Jake who does as much loading, spends as much time on the firing line, as much time on the bench as anybody, that's high praise. Jake, we really appreciate that.
Others?
And I believe we're good on the live side.
All right. Well, at this point, then I think we can wind it down to shout out. We will start with Greg.
Yeah, I mean, you said Greg. I'm gonna jump ahead. I'll
Nailed
go to
it.
the end. You guys first. Sorry.
Shannon.
All right. So I just want to shout out. We'll shout out PDC Custom for these awesome rifle chassis back here. And then Hunter's HD Gold to let me actually see the stuff that I'm shooting at.
Awesome. How about Corey?
I'd like to shout out Drew and Homer for taking care of everything in the background. And Craig, obviously you.
Is Drew here? Drew, if you're here, come to me.
We said it before the show, but you had more props than anyone I think we've ever had on the show before. So that was really cool. Thank you for making that interactive.
I'll show you my top down with all the props. So I've got
Yes.
my top down camera here, and I can go freehand. And I've got
Oh, this is like an EDC dump just for props.
yeah, a whole table stacked on a bunch of these are scope mounts, raw material, all through here, Picatinny mounts. This whole section is raw aluminum material. It's sorted out on the floor to go on carts and go into the machine. One wheel, drive around, stop on. That's kind of what
Hey,
we got
Osh, is
going
this okay?
there. No, it's not. No.
Oh, that one wheel.
I'm telling you, that looks like a trip to the ER. It's job security for me.
Yeah, just don't be bad at it. And if you can't do it, don't get on it. We have scooters too if you don't like the wheel.
Oh. All right, Craig, how about you?
Drew, Homer, the people that have been around for this trip have been enormously important to us. By another shout out, Matt, we got a Patreon channel. If you want to be part of the team and get kind of exclusive access to things we're doing, it's patreon.com/ I think Team Area 419. If you're looking for it, hop on over to our Facebook page. You'll be able to find it, or YouTube, whatever. We plug it somewhat often. That's been a fun thing for us. It has allowed us to do more cool things on the content side. So special props to that crew. Obviously, the crew here at Area 419. It's the joy of my life are my wife and my children, but I'm immensely blessed to be able to show up here every single day and work with some of the finest people on earth, doing the coolest things that we can possibly do, and growing up as humans with people that we really enjoy. And whether they enjoy me or not, I'm not totally sure, but there are a lot of people here that I really enjoy and am fortunate to get to be with every single day. Many of them are watching. We see them, like Luke and Justin. Nathan's in the chat here. Drew's maybe somewhere in the shop. I'm not totally sure. I thought he was over there programming a little bit. The team here is wonderful. But for all of you that have been around for this story with us, who are joining us, who are coming, who are seeing this 5 years from now, saying, "Wow, they weren't at all where I thought they were going to be 5 years ago. We appreciate all of you, and that's from around the world. So I'm just grateful for this.
That's awesome. Well, I just want to shout you out for coming and spending like 2 hours of your Tuesday night with us, and for all the support that y'all give for the shooting sports, because y'all are really out there and supporting and innovating for our sport. And so thank you for that. We really
Yeah, I went home early, picked up my daughter from school, played a game of Madden with my son, made tacos, and then got back out here. So I kind of flipped the way my afternoon and evening work, but it's been I'm glad to be here, and let's do this again before 5 years from now.
That's what I was about to say. We can't let it go that long. Like if you'd asked me, I'd be like, yeah, we had Craig on. Like it just seems like it was yesterday, but it was 5 years ago. I guess time flies. Older
the
I
days
get.
can be long, but the years have been short.
That is right. That is right. We've always considered you a friend of the show. So anytime y'all have a new product coming out, by all means, let us know and we'll let you come and do your product table because it'd be great. We're going to call you Vanna White with your hand. You know. You could be a cute.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Van has been at the top of the game for quite a long time, so I'll take that.
She has, really. All right. And with that, it'll be a wrap for episode 419. And we will see y'all next time.